Good morning from Sayulita. Today I'm going to show you how you can sell your property without an agent. So amigos, thinking about selling your property in Mexico without an agent? It is possible with the right guidance. Today I'll walk you through exactly how to do it yourself. Are you ready? Okay, let's dive in. The first step, and probably the most daunting one, is to make sure that your paperwork is in order. That means revising your escritura and making sure that any adjustments have been made in case you have separated from your spouse or your spouse is deceased. Next, you want to make sure that on the last page of your deed, the deed has been registered. Believe it or not, sometimes, although you may have your deed, it has not been registered, and therefore you are not legally allowed to sell. I'm going through this right now with a client, and it's an absolute nightmare. Another important thing to look out for is the construction manifest. If it's a house and you added a lean-to or you added a floor or a room, has that construction been manifested? If it's a condo, did they do the proper paperwork that determines that the construction was finished? Next, your capital gain strategy. How much taxes are you liable for? What deductions are you entitled to? Did you do some improvements on the property for which you have facturas? Those are deductible. Your realtor fees, if you had any, would be deductible as well. The next step is pricing it right. So there are three big, there's no Zillow kind of centralized data source for real estate in Mexico, except the Flex MLS, which is what registered real estate agencies use. Since you don't have access to that, what you'll want to do is check out Inmuebles 24, propiedades.com, and La Moody. There's a bunch of other ones, but these are the main ones. Keep in mind that a lot of the inventory on these pages is expired because they don't delete them. It helps their SEO to keep them on there. So there's oftentimes properties that are 3, 4, 5 years old. Also keep in mind that the list price and sold price are very different things. These properties do not keep track of what got sold and for how much. So the list price, I can list my property for anything I want. Doesn't mean that's what it's going to close at. So there's a little bit of adjustment that needs to be done there when you're pricing your property. Step number 3 is marketing. This is probably the most important step. Where are you going to advertise your property? There are so many options nowadays, but on almost all of them, you have to pay to play. If you don't, very few people will actually see your publications. How much should you budget for advertising? As a general rule of thumb, 10% is a good measure. So considering an average sale price of $400,000 US and an average commission of 7%, realtors would usually spend about $2,800 marketing your property. Now, that would involve some print advertising, some online. Now, that's the national average. Keep in mind that in Puerto Vallarta, properties don't sell in 60 or 90 days. That's quite rare. The average days on market is more like 200 to 300, so you might have to revise that budget upwards. Now, even if you're doing really great online advertising and print media advertising, you're still going to miss about 90% of potential buyers because most people in this, because it is a vacation destination, they use a realtor, and realtors won't be able to see your property in the Flex MLS, which is where the majority of sales are generated. Now, despite all that, you might still get an offer. Congratulations, now the fun begins. So you draft your sales contract, contrato de compraventa. Make sure it includes clauses for deposits, penalties, and a clear timeline. Don't miss one detail, or you could end up with some legal problems. Oh, and always get a certificado de libertad de gravamen, proof that there's no debt on the property. It's pretty simple. Okay, you're almost there. Now you'll need a notario público. set a date and make sure that your buyers can be there. Now, these notarios, they're not just lawyers, they're legally required to finalize the sale. But here's the kicker, they work for the government. So if your paperwork isn't perfect, they'll send you home, and your very angry buyers. Oh, and don't forget the capital gains tax, up to 35%. Plan for that. Now, assuming you got through all those steps correctly, congratulations, you did it. You probably have a few more gray hairs now, but you did it. You probably saved a couple of $1,000, assuming you didn't have to hire a lawyer to help you through any of the steps, or a tax lawyer to help minimize your tax burden. And to think you could have had all those services for free, essentially, if you had hired a realtor, because those fees, the realtor fees, would have been tax deductible. Oh well, next time.